Elias had always been fascinated by the quiet beauty of life. As a xenobotanist stationed on a distant planet, he spent his days wandering meadows of alien flora that glowed faintly in the twilight. This world was like no other humans had seen. Its forests shimmered with colors he could not name, and the air carried a scent both sweet and strange. While his colleagues focused on cataloging plants for their practical use, Elias preferred to study them for their simple beauty, the delicate symmetry of petals, and the subtle dance of light across leaves. That day, the sun dipped low over the horizon, casting long shadows that mingled with the luminescent plants. Elias crouched beside a patch of iridescent flowers, their petals shimmering in tones of violet and green. He carefully pressed a scanner into the soil, recording nutrient levels and growth patterns. A soft hum echoed through the meadow, almost musical, as though the planet itself were alive and singing in a language he could almost understand. He felt a sudden thrill of anticipation. Something in the air had changed. From the corner of his eye, he noticed movement. A figure glided between the glowing flora, almost floating, yet deliberate. Elias froze, unsure if he should call out. The figure was unlike anything human. It was tall, taller than any person he had ever seen, with a body that radiated light like the very flowers beneath its feet. Its skin glimmered softly, like a liquid silver reflected in the sunlight. The head bore an elegant crown-like crest, and the eyes, large and luminous, held a depth of intelligence and curiosity that made Elias's heart race. His colleagues, stationed a short distance away, were whispering nervously into comms, scanning the figure with every device they had. Yet Elias felt a strange calm. There was no hostility in the being's movement, only grace and awareness. He slowly reached into his satchel and pulled out a simple earth flower, a small, pale blossom he had kept to compare with the alien flora. Holding it carefully, he stepped forward, his voice catching slightly as he whispered to himself, "For peace, for understanding." The alien being stopped and tilted its head slightly, regarding him. A faint vibration filled the air, not threatening, but curious. Elias's pulse quickened, yet he held out the flower. He imagined the gesture as a bridge between their worlds, a symbol that humanity had something beautiful to offer, beyond technology and weapons. The being reached a hand, its fingers long and delicate, and took a step closer. Elias's colleagues held their breath. The creature's body shimmered brighter, like it was absorbing the color of the flower, and then it reached out. Instead of rejecting or attacking, it carefully took the blossom from his hand, examining it with what Elias could only describe as wonder. Then, slowly, it bowed its head, a gesture of recognition, almost like a human bow, but more graceful, more profound. Elias felt his chest tighten with awe. He realized he had achieved what no human had before. He had been accepted, even if only for a moment, by a being from an entirely different world. A soft hum filled his mind, not through sound but thought, clear and direct. You see the world differently. You see beauty where others see only utility. The alien's voice was not spoken but felt, as if the idea traveled straight into his consciousness. Elias nodded, unable to speak aloud. "And you are brave to approach without fear." He nodded again. Fear had been there, but curiosity and respect had outweighed it. "Come with me," the being's thought continued, "and see what you may learn." The creature began moving toward a distant city that shimmered on the horizon, its towers tall and crystalline, reflecting the light of the setting sun. Elias's heart raced. His team was hesitant, worried about the risks. But something in the alien's eyes told him this was an opportunity no human had ever had. With careful steps, he followed, clutching the flower close to his chest. The path led them through fields that changed with every step. Some flowers seemed to hum in response to his presence. Trees bent slightly, as if acknowledging him, their leaves brushing his shoulders in gentle caresses. He marveled at the life around him, understanding that this world was not just alien. It was alive in ways humanity had never imagined. Every step felt sacred, as though he were crossing into a realm of wonder rather than danger. Finally, they reached the edge of a forest where the ground gave way to a vast plain. In the distance, the city rose like a monument of light. Its walls were not cold metal, but a living material that pulsed faintly with energy. Bridges of crystal arched over glowing rivers, and towers twisted toward the sky in forms that defied conventional geometry. Elias had seen artistic renderings of alien cities in human imagination, but nothing matched the reality before him. The alien turned, its luminous eyes studying him. "You have chosen to follow. That shows courage and respect. Few would take this step." Elias felt both pride and humility. He was aware of the risks, but he also understood that this was a moment of potential greatness for humanity, a chance to show that humans could be more than warriors or explorers. They could be bridges of peace and understanding. As they approached the city gates, a sudden tension filled the air. Figures emerged from the towers, guards and courtiers of the alien queen. They were imposing, each taller than a human, with bodies that shimmered in subtle shades, each unique yet harmonious with the others. They moved in precise patterns, silent but watchful. Elias's pulse quickened, but the alien beside him did not hesitate. She walked with purpose, and he followed, trusting in her guidance. Inside the palace, the scale of the structure overwhelmed him. The walls were translucent, yet solid, pulsing with a gentle inner light. Sounds of life echoed in ways he could feel rather than hear, vibrations that communicated presence, intention, and emotion. His human senses strained to comprehend it all, and yet, amidst the overwhelming alien architecture, he felt a sense of calm. He was not intruding. He was welcomed. The alien guided him to a chamber where the air shimmered more intensely. At the center stood the queen herself, taller and more magnificent than any figure he had seen so far. Her eyes held wisdom and curiosity, and her body radiated authority and grace. Elias bowed instinctively, feeling the weight of the moment. She extended a hand, not in dominance, but in invitation. "You offer beauty. You offer understanding. Few humans do this." Her thought resonated in his mind. Elias smiled, relieved that she accepted him. "Do you know what this means?" she asked, not with words, but with a gentle probing of his mind. Elias shook his head, honest and open. "It is rare for your kind to show such courage and respect." Elias realized that his small gesture, the offering of a simple flower, had earned him not only acceptance but trust. In human history, moments like this were rare. Across centuries, humans had met alien life with fear or violence, yet here, his patience, humility, and curiosity had made a difference. He felt pride in his humanity, knowing that the qualities often dismissed as weakness, compassion, curiosity, and care, were being recognized as strength. The queen moved closer, and Elias could sense the subtle patterns of thought flowing around him. The presence of intelligence so vast that it made human minds seem like small flickers of candlelight. She observed him not as a subject or a threat, but as a being of interest.
"You may walk among us. You may see what few humans have seen."
"But you must understand, this is only the beginning." Elias nodded, understanding both the opportunity and the responsibility. To walk with the queen was an honor few could imagine. To fail could have consequences for all humanity. Yet he also felt exhilaration. His mind raced with the possibilities. What he could learn here, what humanity could gain if he returned to tell the story, and the bridges he could build. Outside the chamber, the hum of the palace grew louder, blending with the voices of others, dignitaries, scientists, and guardians of the queen. Elias realized that this society valued intelligence, art, and cooperation in ways that surpassed human expectations. There was a sense of order, yes, but also fluidity, flexibility, and respect for individuality. He began to understand that humans had something unique to offer, creativity and courage, tempered with empathy. The queen gestured for him to follow, leading him deeper into the city. They passed through gardens of impossible colors, corridors that shifted subtly to accommodate movement, and plazas where light itself formed patterns of communication. Elias marveled at each step, feeling both humble and honored. Finally, they reached a chamber with a view of the horizon. Stars glimmered in strange patterns, and distant planets could be seen, orbiting in perfect rhythm. The queen paused, turning to Elias. "Your choice matters, human. You may stay and learn and see what few of your kind will ever see. Or you may leave, returning to your people, carrying knowledge and wisdom." Elias felt the weight of the decision. Staying meant leaving behind Earth, colleagues, and everything familiar. But it also meant the chance to grow, to represent humanity, and to see wonders beyond imagination. He looked into the queen's eyes and felt a connection, a recognition of shared respect and curiosity. "I will stay," he thought firmly, feeling both fear and exhilaration. "I will see what humanity can give, and what I can learn." The queen's form shimmered brighter, a sign of acknowledgement and approval. Elias understood that this was not merely a personal honor, but a symbolic one. Through his courage and humility, humans had shown that they could be more than explorers or conquerors. They could be allies, partners, and creators of beauty recognized even across the stars. The story of this first encounter spread quickly among the alien court. Whispers of the human who offered a flower and earned the queen's trust reached every corner of the city. Elias was introduced carefully to other members of the court, who studied him with curiosity, testing his reactions, observing his manners, and gauging his respect for their customs. He passed each subtle test, relying on empathy, humility, and calm logic, earning their quiet respect. As the sun of this alien world finally set, Elias realized that a single small gesture, a simple flower, had changed the course of his life. It had bridged 2 species, 2 worlds, and opened a door that humanity could never have forced through fear or force. The galaxy suddenly seemed larger, brighter, and full of possibilities, all because a human had chosen to act with courage, care, and understanding. He stood beside the queen, looking out at the horizon, feeling both the weight of responsibility and the thrill of discovery. The journey had only begun, and already humanity's potential was shining across the stars in ways no one had imagined. Elias stepped deeper into the alien city, guided by the queen, whose presence seemed to light the path ahead. Each movement she made caused subtle ripples in the air, like waves moving through a calm pond, and Elias felt as if he were walking through a world alive with intelligence and awareness. The walls of the palace corridor shimmered softly, casting gentle, ever-changing patterns across his skin. Every corner, every reflection seemed to carry meaning, and though he could not yet understand it all, he sensed that this place valued thought, creativity, and respect above all else. As they reached the heart of the city, Elias saw beings of all shapes and sizes moving through courtyards and galleries. Some had elongated limbs, others seemed almost transparent, and all carried an air of elegance and intelligence. Their movements were precise, yet there was a fluid grace that Elias could not hope to imitate. These were the queen's advisors, her scholars, and guardians, all watching with quiet curiosity as the human approached. Though some eyes betrayed suspicion, the majority seemed to study him, as one might study an unusual but fascinating artifact. The queen spoke directly into his mind again, calm and measured. "These are my counselors. You will learn much from them, and they from you. They will judge your heart and mind, not your strength or size." Elias nodded, understanding that he had entered a world where intelligence and character were the true measure of a being's worth. He felt a thrill of excitement and a weight of responsibility. Humanity was being represented in this place, and every word, every gesture mattered. The first counselor approached, a tall figure whose translucent skin revealed subtle pulses of light beneath. It spoke, not in sound, but with thoughts flowing directly into Elias's mind. "Human, why should we trust you? You are not of our kind."
You carry the smell and weight of another world. How do we know your intentions are pure?
Elias swallowed, realizing this was the first true test. He had expected curiosity, but not immediate scrutiny. He took a steadying breath and responded sincerely.
I come with respect and curiosity.
I carry no weapons. I offer knowledge of my world and an honest heart. I hope to learn from you and perhaps to show that humans can be more than fear or conquest. His thoughts were clear and open, and he made sure to convey humility as much as confidence. The counselor's light pulsed slowly, a sign that it was processing his words.
We do not judge only by words, human. Actions are clearer.
Will you follow the rules of our court? Will you learn without dominating?
Will you respect our ways? Elias nodded immediately.
Yes, I will learn.
I will respect. I will not act in haste. The queen watched silently, a gentle presence anchoring him amidst the scrutiny. You may proceed, she said, and the counselor stepped aside. Elias followed, feeling a mixture of relief and anticipation. He knew that gaining the trust of this society would require patience, intelligence, and courage. Each interaction was a step toward understanding, and each misstep could be costly. Over the next hours, Elias was introduced to the other counselors and scholars. They tested him gently, asking questions about Earth, its customs, and its knowledge. Some questions were practical, regarding his scientific methods and observations. Others were philosophical, probing his understanding of morality, creativity, and human emotion. Elias answered honestly, careful to explain his reasoning and values. He realized that the aliens valued transparency and logic, but they also appreciated creativity and empathy, the very qualities humans often overlooked in themselves. One counselor, whose body shimmered like liquid gold, asked him to describe a human story without embellishment. Elias chose a simple tale of a farmer protecting his village from a storm, using ingenuity and care to save his neighbors. He spoke slowly, emphasizing the courage, intelligence, and compassion of the humans involved. The counselor's light pulsed brightly, a signal of approval.
Your species has potential. You value life in ways we sometimes forget, it thought.
Elias felt a surge of pride, understanding that even small stories could demonstrate the strength of humanity's spirit. As the day progressed, the queen took him to the library of the palace, a vast hall filled with structures that were both organic and technological. Records of her people's history glimmered in the air, shifting like holographic streams of knowledge. Elias marveled at the complexity and beauty of their civilization. He began to see how the queen's species combined logic, artistry, and emotion seamlessly, creating a society that valued intelligence, creativity, and respect in equal measure. While exploring, Elias asked the queen how she had come to rule such a complex civilization. She smiled faintly, the glow of her eyes softening.
Leadership is not about force, human.
It is about understanding, seeing potential, and guiding without destroying. Many of my kind would rely on power alone, but I have learned that trust and knowledge are stronger than any weapon. Elias realized that this insight reflected the same principles that had guided him in his work on Earth: respect for life, curiosity, and the courage to act gently in a world of uncertainty. Later, he was introduced to the alien gardeners, beings who tended living structures and plants in ways humans could barely comprehend. They taught him to interact with the flora, to feel its needs, and even to understand how some plants communicated through subtle energy pulses. Elias discovered that the simple flower he had offered earlier was rare among his people, a symbol of peace and creativity. The queen had recognized its significance, and it had sparked the connection that brought him here. During a quiet moment in the gardens, the queen spoke directly to him. You understand what it means to offer without expectation. That is rare. Most beings act for gain, for power, for survival. You act because it is right, because it is beautiful. That is why I chose to allow you here. Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a mix of humility and honor. He had never imagined that one simple act could carry such weight. But trust was not universal. Some members of the court whispered among themselves, expressing concern that humans could be unpredictable, emotional, or even dangerous. Elias sensed their caution and resolved to continue demonstrating humanity's strengths, intelligence, creativity, and empathy. Each small gesture, a careful observation, a polite inquiry, a willingness to learn, helped him gain more acceptance. As days passed, he participated in council discussions, offering insights from his perspective as a human. He suggested solutions to logistical problems, using methods unfamiliar to the aliens, combining intuition with reasoning in ways they had not considered. Some counselors were skeptical at first, but results spoke for themselves. Plans he proposed led to more efficient distribution of resources and better care for the living structures they managed. The Queen observed silently, a faint glow in her eyes, clearly impressed by his ingenuity. One evening, while walking through the palace halls, Elias witnessed a disagreement among the counselors regarding a distant threat from another alien faction. The discussion grew tense, with voices rising in thought and energy pulses. Elias remembered the stories of human negotiation and compromise. He approached carefully, offering a perspective that considered both logic and empathy. His words flowed gently into the minds of the counselors, helping them see a solution that combined defense with diplomacy. Slowly, the tension eased, and the room's glow dimmed to calm. A signal of harmony restored. The Queen turned to him afterward, her presence filling the hall. "You have done more than survive here, human. You have shown that your kind can think beyond fear and instinct. You can contribute, and perhaps even guide." Elias felt a profound sense of pride, realizing that humanity's creativity, courage, and compassion had earned respect across the stars. He understood that he was no longer just a visitor. He was becoming a bridge between worlds. In private moments, the Queen shared more of her thoughts with Elias. She spoke of her responsibilities, the burdens of leadership, and the challenges of maintaining peace in a vast and complex civilization. Elias listened, offering human perspectives that emphasized empathy, courage, and hope. She seemed fascinated by the idea that humans could find strength in vulnerability, that humility and care could be more powerful than dominance. One day, a sudden alert disrupted the calm of the palace. Scouts had detected movement near the city's borders, ships belonging to a rival faction, observing, testing defenses. The Queen immediately convened her council. Elias, standing among them, felt a surge of tension, but also purpose. Using his human experience of problem-solving under pressure, he suggested a plan that combined strategy with ingenuity, offering tactics that the aliens had not anticipated. His ideas were unconventional, relying on improvisation and understanding of human psychology applied to alien behavior. The council debated, some skeptical, others intrigued. Finally, the Queen gave her approval. The plan was executed, and the rival ships, confused and unable to anticipate the human-influenced strategy, retreated without conflict. Elias realized that his perspective had made a tangible difference, reinforcing the idea that humanity's qualities, creativity, empathy, and adaptability were valued even in the most alien contexts. Afterward, the court acknowledged his contribution. The Queen approached him privately, her luminous form radiant in the glow of the setting sky. "You have done more than I expected, human. You have shown that even a single individual guided by courage and understanding can change outcomes. That is why I offer you a choice. You may return to your people with this knowledge, or you may stay and learn more, becoming part of our civilization in a way that few outsiders ever can." Elias felt the weight of her words. Returning meant safety, familiarity, and the chance to share his experiences with humanity. Staying meant venturing further into the unknown, embracing a life among beings far different from any human, and facing challenges he could not yet imagine. Yet the opportunity to represent humanity, to demonstrate its potential across the stars, filled him with purpose. He knew that whatever choice he made, It would carry significance beyond his own life. In the quiet that followed, he walked through the palace gardens once more, observing the alien plants, feeling the pulse of life around him, and reflecting on how far he had come. The simple flower he had offered had sparked this journey. A gesture of peace and beauty had opened doors that force and fear never could. Elias understood that the true power of humanity lay not in weapons or technology, but in creativity, courage, and the ability to act with empathy and respect. By the end of the day, he made his decision. He would stay. Humanity would continue to grow in the universe, not through conquest, but through understanding, compassion, and innovation. Elias was ready to walk a path that few humans had ever taken, guided by curiosity, humility, and the extraordinary opportunity to learn from a civilization more advanced and intricate than any he had imagined. The queen observed his resolve, her form glowing softly with approval.
"Then you shall walk with me, human."
"You shall see what your kind is capable of, and perhaps even guide us in ways we cannot yet imagine." Elias felt a profound sense of pride and responsibility. His journey was just beginning, and already humanity's potential was shining brightly across the stars. Elias woke to the soft glow of the alien city, its lights pulsing like living stars. The queen had entrusted him with a role he never imagined possible. He was no longer merely a visitor. He was a consort in her court, a human whose perspective and ideas could influence a civilization far beyond Earth. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, but he felt ready. Every step, every decision would reflect not just on him, but on all of humanity. His first task was to study the advanced technology the Queen's people used to maintain their civilization. Unlike human machines, these systems were alive in a sense, responding to thought and emotion as much as logic. Bridges shifted, energy flowed, and even the air seemed to pulse in response to the presence of intelligent beings. Elias learned quickly, his mind adapting to patterns of thought and energy that were completely foreign. At first he struggled to control even the simplest devices, but his human curiosity and determination drove him to succeed. He found satisfaction in small victories, like aligning a power grid that flowed through living conduits, or calibrating a sensor that reacted to emotional states. The queen observed him, her luminous form glowing softly. She spoke directly to his mind, as she had from the first day. "You adapt quickly, human. Few of your kind could navigate these systems without guidance. Yet you do, and with respect. That is why you belong here." Elias felt a surge of pride and humility. He had never imagined that humans could hold their own in a civilization so advanced. Yet here he was, proving that human ingenuity could shine even among beings far older and wiser. Weeks passed, and the alien court grew accustomed to his presence. Some counselors still watched him warily, unsure if a human could ever truly integrate into their society. Others had begun to respect him, intrigued by the human mind's ability to think differently. Elias began participating in strategic discussions about planetary defense, resource management, and diplomatic relations. His suggestions were often unconventional, blending intuition, empathy, and creativity in ways the aliens had not considered. Some counselors initially resisted, but results spoke for themselves. Plans he proposed improved efficiency, increased safety, and even fostered goodwill among neighboring civilizations. The queen began to include him in more private councils. Here, Elias learned of the delicate balance required to maintain peace and stability. Rival factions threatened her people's borders, and political tensions simmered beneath the surface. The queen trusted him to offer solutions even when they challenged tradition. One evening, she shared a crisis with him. A fleet from a neighboring faction was moving toward the planet, their intentions unclear. The queen's advisors debated furiously, each suggesting methods of defense or negotiation. Elias listened carefully, understanding both sides. Drawing on human experience, he proposed a strategy that combined diplomacy with tactical innovation. Instead of meeting force with force, he suggested subtle diversions, feints, and displays of human ingenuity that would confuse the rival fleet without causing bloodshed. He explained how humans often solved problems through creativity, improvisation, and understanding of behavior rather than brute strength. The counselors were skeptical, but the Queen allowed the plan to proceed. The execution was tense. Elias guided communication between alien commanders and coordinated efforts that required precise timing and trust. His human approach, emphasizing observation, prediction, and adaptability, turned the tide. The rival fleet, unable to anticipate the unconventional strategy, withdrew without initiating conflict. The Queen's court erupted in quiet approval, acknowledging the human who had contributed to their survival. The Queen herself approached Elias afterward. "You have done more than I expected, human. You have shown that your species is capable of foresight, courage, and ingenuity. You have saved lives, not through violence, but through thought and understanding."
Elias felt a deep sense of pride.
His species had been underestimated. Yet here, across the stars, humanity's strengths were recognized and valued. As days turned into weeks, Elias grew closer to the Queen. Their connection was not romantic in the human sense, but it was built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. She shared knowledge of her civilization, teaching him the ways her people thought, their history, and the principles that guided their society. Elias, in turn, shared stories of Earth, of human resilience, creativity, and the capacity for empathy. Through their exchanges, both learned and grew. One afternoon, they walked through a garden that pulsed with soft light. Elias observed the living plants, noting how each responded to thought and presence. "These plants are alive in a way humans cannot imagine," he said, touching a luminescent leaf. "They sense care and respond to it." The Queen nodded. "And you, human, sense what we cannot always measure. That is why you are valuable." Elias smiled. For the first time, he truly felt at home, though he was light years from Earth. The political landscape, however, remained fragile. A delegation from another civilization arrived, seeking alliance or dominance. Tensions ran high. Elias, using his understanding of human negotiation and psychology, advised the Queen on methods to foster trust while asserting her position. He suggested subtle gestures of respect, displays of shared knowledge, and demonstrations of capability without aggression. His advice proved effective, easing tensions and building alliances that strengthened the Queen's position. During a council session, a debate arose over the integration of human ideas into alien technology. Some counselors argued that human methods were too unpredictable, too emotional. Elias listened, then explained the value of adaptability. Human thinking may seem unpredictable, but it allows for solutions that rigid logic cannot foresee. Creativity is not chaos. It is a tool. The Queen supported his view, emphasizing that innovation often arose from collaboration between different perspectives. Slowly, the counselors began to see the merit in his reasoning. Elias also faced challenges from within. Some aliens questioned his loyalty and motives, whispering about the danger of relying on a human. He met these challenges with patience, transparency, and consistent behavior. Every gesture, every careful observation, reinforced the message that humans could be trusted. Over time, suspicion gave way to cautious respect. He had become a symbol not only of humanity's ingenuity, but also of its reliability and honor. In quieter moments, Elias reflected on his journey. He had started with a simple gesture, a flower offered in peace, and it had opened doors to understanding, trust, and partnership. He realized that human qualities often dismissed as weaknesses, empathy, humility, curiosity, were, in fact, strengths that could influence even the most advanced civilizations. The Queen had recognized this, and together they had begun to bridge the gap between two worlds. One night, the Queen summoned him to the palace balcony. The twin moons of the planet cast soft light over the city, illuminating towers and rivers of energy. "You have proven yourself, human. Your courage and insight have saved lives, strengthened alliances, and shown that your kind is capable of more than we imagined. I offer you a permanent place by my side, not as a subject, but as a partner and consort. Elias felt a mix of honor, responsibility, and awe. The gesture was unprecedented, a recognition of not just his abilities, but of humanity's potential. He accepted, knowing that this choice carried weight beyond his own life. To stand beside the Queen was to represent humanity, to show the galaxy that humans were capable of empathy, creativity, and wisdom. He understood that his actions could inspire trust, peace, and cooperation across civilizations. Life as the Queen's consort brought new challenges and rewards. Elias learned to navigate the complexities of court life, balancing diplomacy, strategy, and cultural understanding. He continued to offer ideas, blending human intuition with alien logic, and his contributions shaped policy, technology, and interstellar relations. The court gradually accepted him fully, no longer as an outsider, but as an integral part of decision-making. One day a crisis arose when a natural phenomenon threatened the city. Energetic storms of alien origin swept across the planet, damaging structures and threatening life. Elias applied human problem-solving skills, devising methods to protect vital areas using both human ingenuity and alien technology. He coordinated teams, guided repairs, and ensured the safety of citizens. The Queen observed, her trust in him deepened. Once again, his human perspective proved invaluable, saving lives and reinforcing the strengths of humanity. Through all these experiences, Elias grew not only as a human, but as a symbol of cooperation. His presence reminded the Queen's people that strength lay not only in power and logic, but in courage, creativity, and compassion. He had started with a flower, a simple symbol of peace and curiosity, and now he had become a bridge between worlds. As the story reached its conclusion, Elias stood beside the Queen, overlooking the city he had come to love. The rival factions had been managed peacefully, the citizens were safe, and the court had recognized his value. Humanity had been given a chance to shine, not through conquest or dominance, but through thought, empathy, and action. The galaxy had seen that even a single human, guided by respect and courage, could make a difference. The Queen placed her hand lightly on his, a gesture of partnership and acknowledgement. Together we will explore what is possible. You have proven that your kind has wisdom, creativity, and courage. Let us see what more you can achieve. Elias felt a profound sense of purpose and belonging. Humanity's potential had been recognized, and he was proud to play a part in its story across the stars. He looked out at the horizon, where distant worlds glimmered in the night sky, and felt hope for the future. The journey that began with a simple flower had led to understanding, trust, and partnership. Elias knew that humanity's story was just beginning in the galaxy, and that one act of courage, empathy, and creativity could shape the fate of worlds. He smiled, ready to continue walking beside the Queen, a human whose heart, mind, and spirit had bridged the gap between species and inspired the universe.